Alrighty, so now that we've learned how to calculate the values of exponential functions, let's use them to graph now. So let's look at example 1. Example 1, we want to graph f of x equals 1/3 to the x. But lucky for us, if we look above, right above for our example 1, we already found those values. So I'm going to use that because why find them again when you don't have to, right? But one thing I do want to note before graphing is that, say that I wasn't given this this table, then we would still have to find the values. And when I usually find exponential functions myself, I usually use -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 to find the points that I need to plot, right? So now let's get started. So at -2, we know it's 9. Okay, sorry, I just thought of one more thing. So before we graph, one good thing to note is that we should use our notes for here. So in this case, what is B? B is 1/3. 1/3 is between 0 and 1. Okay, so this means this. Okay, 1/3 is between 0 and 1. So since it's between 0 and 1, what do we know about our function then? Our function is going to be decreasing like this. Okay, so this is a really good thing to keep in mind when we graph. So when we do find the points, if our graph doesn't look like the general graph, then something went wrong. All right, so let's keep plotting points. So at -1, we have 3. At 0, we have 1 always, and then 1/3, and then 1/9. Okay, we don't gotta be too precise. Okay, so now let's connect the dots. I'm gonna try my best. It's fine. Okay, we're gonna pretend that. Okay, let me just try one more time. Maybe I'll make it bigger. Okay. Yeah, a lot better. All right, and then make sure when we do graph that it never touches the x-axis. All right, just try your best to make it not look like it touches. All right. So, and then don't forget your arrows because they go for infinite long. Right? So this is the graph of f of x equals 1/3 to the x power. One thing I want you guys to do, so your assignment, okay, on the same graph, so when you do this, I want you to graph f of x equals 1/3 to the x, right? You don't need to, it might be good to write down the table. So what I want you to do, okay, you have your x, and then you have f of x equals 1/3 to the x. I want you guys to find g of x is equal to 3 to the x, right? And then I want you to graph it on the same thing. So if you have f of x here, and then graph g of x, however it looks like, and also label it as g of x. Make it very clear which graph is which. Okay, so this is your assignment. Oh no, I'll make it 10 points. Okay, so but along with this assignment, I will also give you an extra credit opportunity. Okay, for your extra credit opportunity, I want you to answer this question. What do you notice between f of x equals 1/3 x and g of x equals 3 to x? So when you do find the values, compare it. When you graph it, compare it and just see, do you notice a relationship between 1/3 to the x and 3 to the x, right? I'll make it, I don't know, I'll do 3 points. That's 3 points extra credit. So your assignment, you can get a total of 13 points, and then I'll post a thing to submit your work later on, right? So now that we've done this, let's now go on to example 2. Example 2, we want to graph f of x equals 4/3 to the x, okay? So before we graph, I want to look, so b is equal to 4/3. 4/3 is greater than 1. How do I know that? Because the numerator is greater than the denominator. Okay? If you actually want to divide it, that's fine, but you'll come to the conclusion it's greater than 1. Since it's greater than 1, what does that tell us? That tells us that our graph is an increasing function. Right? So if you want to go up here, see if b is greater than 1, then it's going to look like the graph that I'm pointing to. Okay, it's going to increase. All right? So this tells us, so our point, when we plot our points, that means our points should just kind of go into an increasing direction. Right? So now let's find our points. So we have x. We have x equals 4/3 x. And then again, I'm going to pick the 5 points. So over here, I have f of x, so f of -2. So it's going to be 4/3 to the -2. I'm actually going to put my work down here so it doesn't get all jumbled with my table. So if I have f of -2, this is equal to 4/3 to the -2. This is equal to 3/4 squared. So this is 9/16. Okay, to the -1, that's 3/4. This is 1. This is 4/3. And over here, it is 16/9. Okay, so this is 4 squared over 3 squared, 16/9. Okay, so before I graph, I want to, so I know that negative exponents can be a little tricky for some people. So the best way, you got to practice, okay? So just got to practice, got to understand the property. But one thing I want to point out here is that like the positive and -2s, like the -2 is 9/16, +2 is 16/9. Notice these are reciprocals of each other. Same thing as -1 and 1. 3/4 and 4/3 are reciprocals of each other. Even when we look at example 1, 9 1/9, reciprocal, 3 1/3, they're reciprocals. So what I'm trying to get at here is if you're still kind of uncomfortable with the negative exponents, what I would do is, so I'd still find it, okay, but then I would find the positive one, so the one that would, so I just find the positive exponent and then see what you get, and then they should be reciprocals of each other. If they're not reciprocals, one of them, something went wrong in one of the computations. Usually it's the negative one, but you never know. The second one, you could have just made a silly mistake, so I would just check them both, but that's a good way to check your values. All right, so now let's graph. So over here, so without using a calculator, so I'm just going to approximate. So I have 9/16. This is about 1/2, okay? So this is a little greater than 1/2 because 8/16 is 1/2. 9/16 is just a 16th more, so approximately 1/2. This we know it's 3/4, so it's 0.75. It's 1. 4/3, that is 1.3 repeating. Okay, because if you take a whole 1 away, you're left with a third, and 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. And then 16/9, this is really close to 2, okay, because 18/9 is 2, okay, so this is just going to be a little below 2. So now let's plot. So I have -2 and then about 1/2, okay, just a little above. maybe let's get bigger. Okay, so about 1/2. So right here. Right. And then 0.75. Okay, sorry. Oh my goodness. We don't have to be precise. Okay, and 3/4 is like right here. 0, 1 always, and then the other one's like 1 1/3. So here's 1 and then 1/3 of that, and then approximately 2. Okay, so let's go up here. Okay, so I know like when we look at this, it kind of just looks like a line, but we do have, as long as you know that an exponential function is not linear, okay, you can go ahead and just try to approximate the drawing. Okay, so I notice it's a little steep, so my graph gonna kind of, maybe I'll start it right here. Okay, and remember that it doesn't touch the y-axis, or the x-axis, sorry. Okay. But if you're not comfortable with that, oh my goodness. Okay, if you're really not sure how you should graph this, sorry guys, oh my gosh. Trying to make it look nice, but it's not working out. Okay, yeah, I will go with that. Even so, let's look at the nice version. My solution over here. This is what x 4/3 to the x looks like. Right? So, but one thing though is that if you plot those 5 points and you're still not comfortable, and you're like, that looks like a line, but I know it shouldn't be, and you want to be more precise, you can just add more points. So like let's say if we wanted to add 4. Okay, so this is just kind of break. If I add a 4, then this is going to be 4/3 cubed, or sorry, to the 4th. This is 256 over 81. Let's see, 81, 3. Okay, so this is approximately 3. Okay, this is 3 point something. Okay, because 243 is less than, so even so, 256, not over, geez. Minus 243, that's just 13. So 13 over 81, yeah, I'm not going to calculate that. But yeah, just a little above 3. So then you can go up here, find 4, okay, and then just go a little above 3. So I was almost there, okay? And maybe that'll just help you make your curve just a little more curvy, I guess. Right, whatever you want to do. Just know that for exponentials, it has to look like a curve, and it can't touch the x-axis. Right? Unless we had translations, but we don't have to worry about that right now. So, but all right, guys. So this is the end of section 8.3. So yeah, don't forget about the assignment and then your extra credit opportunity. So, and then yeah, if you have any questions, just please let me know. And if not, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.